All right, hello to the two people who are currently here. It is I, Rock, and as always, my good co-host, the Optimus.
What is up, everybody? Good to be here. I know we've been meaning to do a pod for like the past 2 weeks, but like literally every time that we would be like getting ready for the time, we like something last minute would come up for us and be like, oh, okay, we got to push it a couple days, and so
Yeah,
here we are. We are finally here to talk with you guys.
yeah. A decent bit to talk about. Well, not news-wise, because all it is just two new characters that have come out. But you know, you guys loaded us up with some questions, which is nice because if not, we were just gonna ramble for a couple minutes. So we got a good maybe I think hour of going through questions, which is
Yeah,
nice. Yeah. So, what are we starting with? I guess.
I figured we were going to start with the two Jedi Fallen Order characters. We'll talk about them, just kind of give our thoughts. Then I wanted to touch on the Cal Kestis Legendary event that's coming up, just to, you know, clarify some details, when we can expect this kind of stuff, our thoughts on it, and then I think we jump into questions.
All right. So I guess we want to go ahead for Cal.
Yeah, so jumping into Cal Kestis, he is the first of five marquee characters that are going to be needed to unlock the Jedi Survivor version of Cal Kestis. So he is in the game right now, and from what it looks like, he's actually been pretty good. He is a light side support character, and it looks like with him and with Seer, they're ushering in a new team of unaligned force users and teams that don't. They're here to counter teams that take a lot of turns or teams that go first. We've had so much like. I think this year they're really like bringing in the counter meta with like Tuskens are countering turn meter, and I think Seer and Cal are going to be countering speed. Um, so we will be getting Seer tomorrow, or I think they're going to like drop the. We're gonna get an update on Wednesday. So we'll have Seer later this week, but we've had Cal in game, and he's been pretty good so far. What have your thoughts been on Cal with how he's been used?
Oh, sorry. I oh eating dinner and I swallowed Coke a little bit too hard. So sorry. uh, I haven't seen much on him, but I've seen people running him with Ray, which I mean, it seems like if a new light side 2 comes out, people just automatically throw him or her with Ray, and it does wonders. But I think that there's been kind of a need for a team like this because I mean, Starkiller kind of was the you can just throw unaligned force users his way, but meta wise, it's mostly your light side tunes don't really matter as much for Starkiller because it's Mara, Palp, and Starkiller doing all the work. The other two are just there to soak up damage. So I think there's been just kind of a need for kind of one or two light side tunes that can just come in and be like just really elevate an unaligned force user faction or a Jedi faction or whatever. Because I mean, you look at the Jedi faction. I mean, how many Jedi are in the game? Like 30, 40? What would you say? Like rough? I think like 30
Oh
Jedi
yeah, there's
game.
like there's 30 or 40 because I think Rebels, Empire, and Jedi are like the biggest faction. Um,
Galactic
yeah,
Republic's pretty
or
big
yeah,
too.
Galactic Republic because the
But
Galactic
that's
Republic
all
gets all the
Jedi mostly.
Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
pulling up Swog to count them out. I'm curious because doesn't he have some like Jedi synergy as well? Like, can't Jedi? I don't. It's been a
he
while
does
since I
not
read
have
the
any
canon.
Jedi synergy. However, Seer has some Jedi synergy.
That's who it is. Okay, I knew one of them had some Jedi synergy, so it seems like you can kind of mix and match because like they like on the kit reveal it has Barris as a like suggested synergy, and Barris isn't an unaligned force user. Barris is just a Jedi. So I think he's gonna kind of take some of these Jedi that don't really have a place, that just kind of in betweeners, and just kind of take them, I guess. And all these unaligned force users like your Ray Scavenger, your uh Ahsoka Fulcrum.
Especially with
Yeah,
those, especially like I'm looking at Sears Omicron here. I'm not gonna lie, Sear and GAC is gonna be nasty. They're getting some crazy offense, and I'm looking at Fulcrum. I'm looking at Ray Scavenger. For each instance of damage, any unaligned force user deals to an enemy, they gain 10% stacking offense for 2 turns. So basically, like, Fulcrum can do anywhere north of like 4 to 5 hits. That's 40 to 50% offense. Ray Scavenger can easily do like 3 hits, and especially like everyone who has Ray has Scav Ray at Relic 7. This is on top of the stacking offense that they get, the stacking crit damage that they get from enemies taking turns. While they have accuracy up, they have plus 50% damage. I mean, this team is going to hit hard with Seer leading. I'm really excited to see what she does when she comes in.
Also, I did a count. There's exactly 30 Jedi in the game.
Okay.
Exactly 30. And you got to think five, four are for the Jedi Master Kenobi team, 5 are for Jedi Master Luke. Uh, one is Kyle Katarn, so that's going to Mon Mothma. Uh, you have a Qui-Gon Jinn team, so that's another 5. So it's about 10, 14. There's about 15 Jedi that just aren't getting any use. So like half of that faction is pretty much just like there's just no use. Like your Varys, I mean, Kanan and Ezra are Phoenix, but no one's really using Phoenix anymore.
Yeah, you got the
The
crappy like the crappy Galactic Republic Jedi. So like,
You got Luminara, which Luminara got that Omicron recently, so I guess she goes with you know
she's at least able to be used. I've actually seen some funny stuff you can do with her. Um, but like it's like your Jedi Consulars, it's your Amagundai, it is your Eth Koth, it's your Kit
your Kit
Fisto.
Fisto that needs to be Relic 5 for ROTE.
And like, Plo Koon's got a ship, but in all honesty, Plo Koon's not doing anything.
Yeah, I love him. He's my like most underrated character in the game, but I know he's hot garbage.
And
But I will
like
always try to hype him up whenever I can.
but no, I'm a big fan of this character. I've really liked Cal on a Ray team. His like passive healing on critical hits is really nice, especially when you're doing like Ray Ben versus Jedi Master Kenobi. He really fits in well there. I think he will work with Ray for the time being. However, I think um, once Seer comes in, I think that's just where he's going to be, and this just becomes the new unaligned force user team. We might see some funny stuff with Starkiller because he does satisfy the need. However, I think he's going to be about as useful as Visas is. So, like, unless you really don't want to farm Visas, I personally think that Visas is going to stay with Starkiller, and Cal is just going to stay with Seer.
Yeah. Um,
I do think your leftover Inquisitors might have a home with Seer. Seer does have light side and dark side unaligned force user synergy. So I think like eventually once we all get Riva, I think ninth sister can come be a tank here, and I think second sister can also do some stuff here, at least just to fill up a team. Um, so but yeah, no, I'm excited for these 2 characters. Any other last thoughts on Seer and Cal?
um, just looking at the unaligned force users, I mean, like especially I knew Marin. Is that how you say it? Marin? Mirren? the night sister,
Oh yeah, Marin. Yeah,
Marin. Okay. Uh, I mean, right now night sisters aren't really like meta anymore. I mean, I don't know. I would say they're pretty bad. I mean, but Asajj is an unaligned force user. So I
yeah.
mean, even then, like you get a dispel, you get an AOE. Um, her basic is pretty good. Anytime someone dies, I think she ramps damage.
Hmm.
So I mean, uh, so I think that's there's another unaligned force user attacker that can go in there. I don't know. I like it. There's always been a need for something like this, like a team that can take all these unaligned force users that just don't really have a home with Starkiller and can take all these Jedi that like your Barris. Like Barris is a solid character. The only issue is she just always gets kind of left out.
Yeah.
She barely makes a cut for Padme. Barely it doesn't make the cut for JMK. Is always can be okay with Qui-Gon Jinn, but always kind of misses the cut there too. There's better options than her, and so
Same thing with Star Killer. Like Barris can kind of go with Star Killer, but that's kind of like your B grade Star Killer teams. They're
yeah,
not your A team Star Killer teams.
like she just all like there's a bunch of Jedi and unaligned Force users that they just miss the cut, and
Yeah.
there's been this need for a uh just somebody that kind of put them all together where you can take a bunch of kind of not so good tunes. So now I don't feel bad for having to Relic 5 and Kit Fisto. I can kind of throw it with Cal,
Right.
even though that's probably going to be a B tier, like Cal team. But I mean, you're still getting some use out of some stuff. I
So
think it's a good puzzle piece team.
right.
If that's a good way to describe it.
So speaking of Cal, we have the legendary event coming up.
Yeah.
And so we know Cal and Seer are going to be needed at 7 stars in Gear 12. The other three remaining marquee characters that will be needed um, is going to be Marin for the Night Sisters. She is going to be needed at 7 star Gear 12. Next is going to be Tarful from the Wookiees. Same thing, 7 star Gear 12. And last is Saw Gerrera. Real quick, before we touch on Cal Survivor, what are your expectations for each of these marquee characters here? What impact do you think that they'll have either on Cal's team or on the team that they will be going towards?
Uh, I think Saul is going to be kind of a rebel. Either I could see them doing one or two things with Saul. Either A, they make him synergized with Mon Mothma, and you kind of have a rebel fighter team where it's Mon Mothma, Saul, and Kyle Katarn in a squad, and you just make those three work. Or they they have anti Mon Mothma synergy, and they just kind of hey, we kind of want you to make two rebel fighter teams with Saul Guerrero. Like I could see them doing either or for Saul Guerrero, but
I
if
think
it's
I'm
anything
with
like
you. I think I'm
Magneto,
with you with
I mean,
Saw. I'm because I'm looking at Rebel Fighters right now. Uh,
they're another faction where like five isn't like you can make one good team out of them, but then after that you have so many that just like get left in the dust.
I think you have. I think the idea is like where you have like your super trooper teams, you also have your Iden team who like takes your
Yes.
magma
Yeah.
trooper, takes your snow trooper. So I'm looking at Wedge, I'm looking at Biggs, I'm looking at Hoth Rebel Soldier, not Scout with the critical hit synergy. I'm looking at Soldier. I'm looking at Lando. I'm looking at um I no, I actually personally think Bodhi is good on a Mon Mothma team, but that's besides the point. I'm looking at Bodhi. I'm looking at Baze. I'm looking at Chirrut. Like those teams, like that, like those rebels that got left off. I think they're gonna go have a home. However, I think that you'll be able to throw um, Saw with a Mon Mothma team with Kyle Katarn, and you can make like an ultimate rebel fighter team, but I think he's meant to go be his own. Like they'll give him like maybe a territory war Omicron, and he'll be like I don't know. Like I'm expecting like if he could be as good as Sana, or like if he could be as good as
Iden.
Um,
If he's
Iden.
Iden tier, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting.
Um, the Wookiee guy, I have a feeling the Wookiee guy is just going to be a Wookiee lead. Like they're just going to give him some kind of Wookiee lead,
Yeah.
and then they'll throw in some unique buff that's unique to the Wookiee faction, just to beat that like light side mission. Because I think it's the third planet, right? Where it's you have to have like a full Relic 7 Wookiee team.
Yeah, I think you can get close to beating it, but not quite all the way.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking at. I think this is direct Clone Wars synergy. Clone Wars Chewie synergy. I think like the memes are done. Clone Wars Chewie's gonna get a home. I think like Zalbar might get a home. You could look at veteran smuggler Chewbacca. Like I even think Chrysanthemum might be fun and do stuff. But pretty much it's just Wookiees get a tag, Wookiees get a leader, and if they do anything positive, that's fine for me.
I'm thinking they're gonna get that. They're gonna get a TV Omicron. I could see them. I could see them doing something like giving Clone Wars Chewie a territorial battle Omicron, and then giving the new one coming out a like territorial war or Grand Arena, just to try to
I also think Clone Wars Chewie gets a slight touch up to his kit. Um,
yeah,
Similar
he
to
needed.
how Royal Guard, Gamorrean Guard, Mob Enforcer, I think Clone Wars Chewie gets a little bit of a touch up. I mean, because like when I'm looking at his Zeta here, Chewbacca dispels all debuffs from himself, recovers 50% of his max health, gains defense up for 3 turns, and has a 50% chance to gain 25% turn meter. That's bad. That's
That's
really bad.
terrible. Don't e- you don't even like you don't even gain protection out of that. That's rough.
You could do something like he
So
has the
bad.
dispel, and then he recovers and gains 50% max health every time he does this ability, and you can make his health go like crazy high. I could see like that could be a fun Zeta that you do, and it's by no means you know breaking the Swugga, but like Clone Wars Chewie is actually going to be useful. So that's kind of what I envisioned from Tarful.
And then Marin, the last Night Sister, she's just gonna replace Spirit on a Night Sister team. That's I
Yeah,
feel like that's all she's that's her kind of purpose is to come in, replace Spirit, and give them a debuff dispel because they don't are cleanse.
yeah, bring him a cleanse, and I think also like what I think we're gonna see like a wall of text, like how Zori had like a bunch of text. Like we're just gonna see a lot of stats and a lot of things, just because like Night Sisters as the mechanics, like they have the mechanics there, but they just don't have like they're just missing something that keeps them competitive. They've just been aged out, and I think Marin just comes in and just makes them relevant again.
I
And
could also see them doing something with Marin like making her super fast, like 180, 186 speed out the gate. Somebody because like I think the fastest is Spirit, right? Speed wise for the
Spirit
Night
is
Sisters.
173. Talzin lead gives plus 30 speed, and then
Yeah,
Asajj gets a bunch of speed if there's no buff. So Asajj can be really fast, but it's dependent on because I think Asajj can have at most plus 75 from her unique, and then with Talzin lead that's plus 105. But even still though, she's only base 124 speed, so like
yeah, you're not
yeah.
because I'm trying to. Let me see. Yeah, I could see like, and then they're all like really slow, like zombies 140, Daka's 156, Talzin's 142, like Initiate's 132. Like all of them are really, other than Spirit, like the majority of them are really slow, and even that plus 30 boost isn't that good.
I
Like,
think I could see Marin being like, "Oh, if you're in a team of all Night Sisters, uh, gain like 35 speed or something like that." Like,
yeah,
yeah.
or
Which
that, and just like I would I would love to see Night Sisters get some decent buffs because it's another team that like they don't really gain a lot of buffs. I think potency up is like the only buff they gain, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I
they
think
don't really
all the
do a lot of. They're not a buff heavy team. Like they might have some defense up. They might have some crit chance up or something. But again, that's from like the more crappy Night Sisters. Um, yeah, no. Night
like
Sisters are a really fun team, and I really like. I would love to see
the
them back being not meta, but like in the thick of things.
yeah. I like my bare minimum is like, you know, it kind of becomes like a rebel fighter team right now. Like if they're at that rebel fighter level, then I'm happy.
Real
Because right
quick,
now you really can't do much up with them.
DNL had a question here in the chat about Marin. Do we think Marin will have any synergy with Cal? I'm going to be honest, I don't think so. I think they're going to have like a specific circumstance or like they're going to have specific mechanics in the events that allows them to work together. And I think like they will work together in theory that like, oh, they're in the game here, but it's like Afra and Kersan. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be there, but like she's meant to be with Night Sisters and that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, I can see that. As a Night Sister stan, I guess. What I would love to see from Marin is really fast, has some mechanic to be fast, either a high base speed or something in the kit, like you said, plus 35 speed if all allies are Night Sisters, or something like that that makes her fast out the gate, and then something that she gives out buffs like an offense up or a crit damage up or um, uh, just some buffs that are not and
Right.
then a cleanse on top of that. Like that's all I'm asking. I mean, it truly needs to be a support kind of character because that faction is filled with healers and attackers. There's not a lot of supports in that faction.
Weirdly enough, we've got
Yeah,
we've got 2 healers, 3 attackers, and
and one tank.
two supports and a tank. Um, I could be fine if she was a support. I could be fine if she was. I actually think it could be interesting if she was a tank. And it
Yeah,
like relieves some stuff off zombie. Um,
and you kind of pinball between the two. I
yeah.
could see. I would like that.
Um, now the question that we're asking though is challenge tier 3 going to be beatable without having to R9 your DACA?
I hope so because that is the most BS in this game that they introduced this, said, oh, Night Sisters can do it. And you physically could not beat it without cheating until R9 came out. Like,
And it's also
that was
it's not just R9, it's like R9 with god tier defense mods on DACA.
yes. And then you needed like R8s and R7s. Like you could I think the guy did it with like a full R8 squad, R9 doc.
And this is like R8 Talia too. Like
Yes. Like he went all out for it and beat it. It was pretty serious. I also found it funny that for like a very long time that a way to find out if someone was cheating was to wait for the Night Sister event to roll around and have them take a screenshot. And if they beat tier 3, then that was a way to tell that someone was cheating. Like that's how hard the event was that you just physically could not do it. And so if you did it, you were cheating. I just insanity of a mission. I just
so with that being said, that's what we think of the marquees. Let's talk about Cal Kestis Survivor. So he's going to need all 7-star Gear 12 requirements. It looks like he is meant to be run with Jedi or with his own leader. I'm not sure if that will be with Fallen Order characters, with Jedi characters, but what are your thoughts and expectations for Cal Kestis coming into for when he is released?
so they're doing 5 characters for him and not 4, right? For the
Yeah, the 5 marquees that we just talked about. So Cal, Seer, Marin, Saw, and Tarful.
I mean, I don't know if it will be on Starkiller I'm just thinking about what they've been rolling out recently is Starkiller and Aphra are kind of on the same plane, and you just need 4 characters at R5. Night Sisters were, I mean, not Night Sisters. Inquisitors were 5 characters at R5, and you get a god tier character essentially. With Reva, it's pretty busted. I don't know. If they're gonna throw him with unaligned force users and kind of make him like the leader of the unaligned force users or whatnot, I have a feeling they're just gonna make the character himself really busted, because a lot of these unaligned force users just cheeks. They're terrible. A lot of the Jedi are pretty bad too. So I don't. But then again, if you make him busted, who's to say you can't? If they make him Jedi synergy, for example, who's to say they won't
So
make him?
I'm actually going to
Who's to say you
go.
can't just
I'm
like
going to
throw
go
Jedi
read
loose?
the road ahead post from what they said about him here of what he was going to be, because I also want to make sure that okay, so there's the he is getting some special TB missions. I kind of didn't really want to. We can touch more on that when we talk about Rise of the Empire. Let me find, where was the road ahead? Here we go. Road ahead, February 2023, and here we go. Hero's Journey Cal Kestis. This version of Cal Kestis will be a force to be reckoned with in territory battle and a must-have for any holotable hero. You can expect to use Cal Kestis in dedicated territory battle missions and will be able to make good use of his 3 dedicated Omicrons. In addition, you can get more out of your Hero's Journey Cal Kestis by slotting him into Jedi PvP teams, which will help complete the Jedi squads you've been cultivating over the years. Okay, so it sounds like he's going to be really good in TB, and then he is going to be like the unofficial, or unless they announce it, he's like the unofficial JML lifter.
Yeah, and see, if he's gonna be JML's lifter, if that's kind of his position is a JML lifter, but I could assume that they might, they can easily throw all this out the door and be like, oh, if there is a GL in the squad, then half his kit is basically null.
Right.
But if they don't do anything like that and he's a JML lifter, then I would have to think the character himself is going to be pretty lackluster, just because of how decent JML is.
What
So
I'm
I think it
expecting
would be
from
like
him, I don't think he's going to be the JML lifter, because I think they've been pretty consistent with like lifters are coming from Conquest, and I think
true.
especially with how popular JML is, they're not going to do that. What I think he's going to be is, I expect him in his own team. I expect him to be like BAM level, especially since they're only requiring 7 stars in Gear 12.
That's
This is
right.
one
I
of those
forgot about
things.
that. Yeah.
It's going to seem like whale food to start. However, you go a year from now, or especially since once they're free to play farmable, you just got to get him to 7 stars, and Gear 12 is pretty easy to get to at this point. I think he's going to be, when you're in the sub 4 million crowd, I think he's going to be great with, like, he can go with your Revans, he can go with your Jedi Knight Lukes, or like before you have a Jedi GL, he is going to be like, either if he has his own lead or he'll slot in and do really well. I think he's personally going to be better as a like non-leader character, kind of like how Bam is, where like Bam slots into a lot of teams. I don't know if he's going to be the best leader, but he's going to be a crucial character that you're going to want to have. So not meta breaking, but I think he's going to be just like a really solid addition. Um, and again, it's just because they were, and I thought it was going to be 5 characters at Relic 5, but the fact that they did Gear 12, I'm like tampering my expectations a little bit.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the Gear 12 thing. And I read that and I said, huh, all right, we're going to get a BAM style. That was like my first impression was. And then it's been for all of you thinking I'm over here just not reading kits or anything, but it's been about 3 weeks since I've read this, so I completely forgot that they had Gear 12s as the like unlock. So I was thinking it was, I was thinking they were going to throw him, kind of like they did to Grand Inquisitor. But, now that it's Gear 12, I mean, I can easily see them, like, especially if they do, like, shucks, what's the word I'm looking for? Old Republic. Like, if they cut him off from Old Republic, like, I could see him just being like, this is where Cam's going to slot in. This is where your other kind of really not so good Jedi, but not bad Jedi are going to go. And he's just going to be like a BAM tier squad.
Right.
But then, like, I like that versatility to where you could just be like, oh, you know what? We're just going to slot him with a Jedi Knight Luke lead. Or I'm going to slot him with JML or, Revan. So I think there could be some early game viability where you unlock Jedi Knight Revan, and then you go unlock Cal early game. And you just slot the two together for a bit until you unlock more Jedi. I think that'd be kind of cool. But I don't know. I'm never good at making. I think the last time I tried to make a prediction for something, it didn't come out very well. So,
well, I think that's I think that's a good talk about Cal. We'll know more once we get more of the updates, but I think it's good. It's time to jump into some of the pod questions.
Real quick, save Relius's for last. He had to hop out of the audience for a bit, and so I just said we'd save his for last.
Okay, so all of his questions.
Yeah, let's do all of his last.
Okay. Okay, so we'll jump in. First question I see here is from Grogu. Now with Cal's release, do you see him changing the meta? I think we touched on that, but I think just to sum up my thoughts real quick, I think no. I think he's not going to be meta breaking, but he's just going to be a good addition to the game.
He's gonna. I kind of will agree with Optimus here. He's gonna be like a B, A minus kind of character. He's not gonna I don't think he's gonna be beating anything serious, but he's gonna come in and he's gonna beat your GG, your Darth Revan tier teams. I don't know. I also could be completely wrong, and he can't even beat Night Sisters. So who knows? Who knows? Lithison, Litho, favorite color. I'll go with tan. I love a good tan. I don't know. It's just a sleek kind of color.
Tan. I would say purple. I think purple's my favorite color.
All right, fair enough. We had one from Takuma. This was before. This was he said this. He asked this last week.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
When/if we get the Ravager, what do you think the requirements will be? I don't think we're gonna get him just because I don't think there's enough Old Republic ships in the game to really field him.
And even if we were to expand it to just to Sith, we're just missing so much. I think I'm looking at Scimitar, I'm looking at Sith Fighter, and I'm looking at Sith Marauder ship. And I think if they were going to do a capital ship surrounding that, those ships would be used, and you could maybe bring the Inquisitor ships, but then again, that's really only TIE Interceptor. I personally think we're just their goals when they release those ships is they want to give you new ships to whale on, and then they also want to require characters that you haven't invested in. So I'm looking at, I think you would expect an R9 or an R8 Sith Marauder. I think Sith Assassin is definitely going to be required. All the Sith ships, like Darth Maul at Relic 8s, but they're going to do some new ones. But I personally I don't see we don't have anything for that right now. I personally think the next capital ship they're doing is Trenches. He would be the first character with the name Admiral to not have a ship, and I just think that's not going to happen. I think he's going to get a capital ship, so I'd be more on the lookout for a Separatist capital ship than I would the Ravager. What about you?
Yeah. I could see a Sith kind of ship coming though, but I don't know. I don't think there's enough in the game right now to really do that. I mean, I could also see kind of a scoundrel, like if they wanted to give Hodo or Holdo, not Holdo,
Hondo?
Hondo a capital ship. I could see that because, like, I mean, if you look at scoundrels, I mean, you have Hans Falcon, but that goes with rebels. A couple of the Empire, like a couple of the rebel ships, are also kind of scoundrels. Lando's. Well, shit. Actually, no. It's just Lando is the only scoundrel ship. Actually, is it really?
Let's
I don't know.
take.
There's a couple of scoundrel ships. It's the executor ships, Lando, Han, and Outrider. But all of those ships go with somebody else. All those ships are pretty much accounted for. So I don't know. They probably wouldn't do that. They would have to introduce some stuff before they did that. So, but
Yep.
yeah, I don't think we would get it.
Oh, looks like Relius is back on the pod, so we can, when we get to his questions, we can
Yeah.
answer them. Grogu's next question: now that we know how powerful Riva really is, are you worried that Rise of the Empire and being Riva ready will be such a focus for every guild out there?
Yes. I think simple question. Yes.
Yes. However, I don't think this really changes how competitive guilds go about it, though. Because I mean, shoot, like when I was thinking about when I first joined Returns, or when I've seen every guild in like the Barbarism clan, it was always like, oh yeah, we need you to farm geos, we need you to have shot clones, and this is one of those things that was just needed. Now, I think Riva is definitely the best character from TB that we've ever gotten. However, I think this is just CG's way of saying, like, we want you doing Rise of the Empire and we want you using Inquisitors. And I don't think it changes anything, personally. However, like, farm your Inquisitors. You've had over a year. Farm your Inquisitors.
Uh, I just wanted to point this out. This is kind of a random point. I think out of all the TB related tunes that we have unlocked, or you can unlock, this is like IPD, Rolo, Watt, and Cam. I think Reva is quite possibly one of the best done. Because
Yes.
if you look at IPD, you need Imperial Troopers for it. Well, once you gear up your Imperial Troopers and you unlock IPD, now you have to gear up an Empire team form, or you have to gear up a droid team form. For Rolo, it's kind of done all right. You just need one character to unlock her, and you don't even need rebels. You literally can just use your
Yeah, you can use
your
any
four.
character. Yeah.
No, you can use your 4 best tunes, and then Hoth Rebel Scout or Soldier, Hoth Rebel Soldier, and you unlock her. And you don't even need him at you need him at 5-star. So, but still, you need to farm a rebel team to make her work. For Watt, you farm up Geos, and yeah,
He
Watt
he
can
can be
go.
used with Geos, but
Yeah, but I would much rather use him elsewhere. You know, I think Watt's kind of the exception here because Watt's kind of a plug and play. He goes with anybody.
yeah.
So I guess that's not too bad. Cam, you farm up Shock T clones, and the only thing Cam can pair with is Shock T.
I personally think
You know?
I personally think they regret how they did Cam.
Yeah.
Um, I think they realized they overtuned the mission and they made it a little too difficult. I like how they've done Riva so far. And I think they've learned their lesson with Cam.
Yeah. But like with your Inquisitors, the character you are unlocking is like the next tier of your squad. So you look at it as like tier 1 is just the regular 5 Inquisitors that are out. Well, you get them all to Relic 5, and then you get Grand Inquisitor. Now you bring them all to Relic 7, or you bring 5 of them to Relic 7, and then you unlock Reva. And the team you're using to unlock Reva is the team she's going with. So you don't have to unlock a character. you don't have to unlock a bunch of characters, gear them up to unlock another character, to then have to gear up a bunch of other characters to make the character you just spent months grinding usable.
I'm going to say real quick on Riva. Um, I would like to consider myself an Inquisitor expert. I've dedicated a lot of time to learning their kits, modding them, and understanding how they function. Riva is really good and by far the best TB character that we've gotten. However, Riva herself is not what is broken. I would actually argue it is more Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is the best character in that team, and Riva, if anything, just unlocks him. If you were to remove Grand Inquisitor from that team is nowhere near as good. Um, like if you were just to do like Riva, Seven Sister, Second Sister, Fifth Brother, Eighth Brother, or throw Ninth Sister in there, whatever you want, and leave out Grand Inquisitor, that team is nowhere near as good, and you are not autoing GLs. It is due to Grand Inquisitor. So I kind of just wanted to put that into focus. I think they, and like you said, I think they did a fantastic job designing her kits to work with the team that unlocks her, because it's one of those things. Yeah, it sucks. You have to, anytime you have to upgrade 5 characters to Relic 7, it's going to suck. However, like, you are going to be rewarded because the character you get goes right into that team.
Yeah. Grogu's next question. To me, it seems like Capital Games are just trying to one up themselves with every new character release. Every time a new kit is revealed, it just looks better than the last. Do you see CG continuing this, and what impact will it have on the base game for a new player? I don't know if they keep trying to like with the marquees. A lot of the marquees recently have been like really confusing kits, but then when they get to the game, you're like, oh, okay. Like I think of like Talon. Like Talon had like a very kind of confusing kit when she first came out, and now people are like, oh, she's just there for that speed boost on the unique. Iden was another one of she didn't really have a confusing kit, but like I don't know. I don't think they're trying to one up every kit reveal. I think it's just getting more complex.
Yeah, it's for sure more complex, but I don't know. I've actually thought they've done a really good job at like keeping the
Balancing it,
power
yeah.
tiers and balance. Like the conquest characters have been, for the most
Really
part, like
good.
where they fit, they work really well. I think now like Sina Django has a good home where he has multiple uses, but like all of the marquee characters have lifted, like all marquee esque teams are all at like similar playing fields, and like even with the legendary characters that they put out, like Afra Starkiller, Inquisitors without Riva, like they're all like, they do what they're supposed to do in their modes. I think if you're talking about Riva with power creep, I think you do have to put it into this perspective. Riva is really difficult to get. This is end game content where like you need to be, I would say, in at least a 300 to like 330 mil guild realistically to be doing decently well and Rise of the Empire. I think you need to have all the Inquisitors at Relic 7. You need to have Grand Inquisitor. And also, to like, including Riva, I know you did the math the other day. The amount of Kairos that you need for a team of 6 Inquisitors, or like the team of like, um, or I guess because actually it's all the Inquisitors because you need all of them to unlock GI and then, to get Riva. I think it's like almost on par with getting a Galactic Legend.
Yeah. So hang on, I'm actually going to scroll to that because I did this in the returns chat the other day because people were
So
talking about like farming, like for Grand Inquisitor, and because returns we put like July, like late July, as like a requirement to have it, and so some people were like, well, I don't think I can get enough Kairos in that amount of time, and so I went ahead and I just did the math of how many Kairos can you get in a short amount of time. But I'll also say that hang on, there was another graphic, like, but I'll say that graphic that you were looking at. To unlock Grand Inquisitor, it is 2,000 Kairos. To get Grand Inquisitor to relics, you would need 2,500 Kairos.
And that's so it's basically you need 500 Kairos for GI when putting that all
So
together.
so not even I'm not even going to take into account of putting the team together after you unlock. I'm just going to put the 2,000 Kairos that you need to get Grand Inquisitor, and I'm going to compare that to some other GLs. So Slicker, you need 1,400 Kairos. Ray, you need 1,700 Kairos. JML, you need 2,300 Kairos. C, you need 1,700 Kairos. JMK is 2,300 Kairos. Lord Vader is 3,300 Kairos. Java is 2,900 Kairos. It is, other than,
I believe with Riva, it is 2,900 Kairos in total for the
yes,
Inquisitors. And
yes.
so, like, to just put this into perspective, like, this team is expensive, and I do think CG over, and I saw this comment in the podcast text. I do think, um, I do think they overtuned her because I don't think CG realized how good Grand Inquisitor's kit was, and it was like they wanted it to counter JMK Cat, and in order for them to do that, they put something that was a little too busted in, and now we're seeing it auto everything. However, I think to me this is just like Riva's not going to stay this broken for this long. We are, as we always do with everything, we are going to find counters, and I actually think that we're going to find relatively cheap counters to her. And it's going to be one of those things that like their goal when they said Riva and GAC with her Omicrons is meant to be a Galactic Legends esque team, and GI and Territory War with his Omicrons and Riva on the team is meant to be a Galactic Legend esque team. They're just as expensive as one. However, if you don't have the Omicrons, I don't think that we are going to find counters for this that are going to be relatively cheap. So I don't think they're going to nerf her. They're not going to do that. I think if they were going to do that, they would have said something already. Um, but we'll see. But no, Riva's expensive. I think there's a little bit of a power creep, but I think it's all
Uh,
within the balance and flow of the game.
it's cheaper than Lord Vader.
Yeah.
You can unlock Grand Inquisitor and Riva, and it's cheaper than Lord Vader. And it is also on par with Java. So you're practically getting a GL for,
I do think when you're talking about the new player experience, CG wants us interacting with relics, and
yeah.
I think with the new raid, I think we're going to be seeing more Kairos come.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made it easier to get to Gear 12. I mean, shoot, I was farming Ray. And those characters, as Rock said, you don't need that many Kairos. Majority of them are on the hero bros and the newer characters. You can farm characters to Gear 12 pretty quickly. It doesn't take that long. I think that they're going to start giving us with the new raid, and the better that you do in the new raid, as you get to the point where you are needing Kairos and it's becoming a bottleneck, they are going to supply us with new ways to get there. Because I do think Relic 10 is coming. They want us interacting, like they don't want us staying at Relic 3. They don't want us staying at Gear 12. They want us at Relic 5. They want us at Relic 7. Hence with the new TB that's come out. So I think we're going to be seeing some changes with that, and it's going to make some of these things a little less daunting.
Yeah. And if you're also worried about Kairos, I did the math. This was just from March 15th to about end of July. I did the maths. If you want to know about it, I'm not going to say it here, but because it would probably take a good bit. But I figured that you could get about 2,000 Kairos in about 4 months. So every 4 months, you are basically unlocking a GL.
Yeah.
with Kairos. But that's taken into account that you're spending your get 2 and get 3 on Kairos. So if you're
Real
not
quick,
spending it, it's probably closer to 1,500.
I wanted to touch on one thing we were talking about, Cal Kestis. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Cal Kestis hard counters Inquisitors.
Yeah.
And I mean like hard counters Inquisitors. He may be subpar at everything else, and he'll go and just, slot into a Jedi team. But I think with his lead or something like that, he is going to hard counter Inquisitors. I would not be surprised in the slightest. CG is known for creating a problem and then selling us the solution. It lore-wise makes sense. Cal is out here just, clapping cheeks with Inquisitors, and it would make sense if that's what they would do. Their most latest, you wailed on Inquisitors, and your guild told you to go farm them up to get Riva, and you go and you got it. However, in comes CG's new shiny toy that is going to be available once every 3 to 6 months, and that's going to be the key to stopping Inquisitors. If you wail on them, you get them. Otherwise, you're waiting a year just like everyone else, and I would not be surprised if that's what happens.
Yep.
Next question here from Grogu. Which character who's been out for a long time, in your opinion, needs a Mace Windu-like rework? I had a couple here that I was thinking of, but I wanted to hear yours first.
Let me get yours first because I didn't prepare for any of the questions. So let me look through real quick.
I had 3, and my third actually ties in with some questions that we had later. But my 3 are, and it took me a while to look because I'm actually very content with majority of the characters in game. For me, the 3 were, and when I don't think anyone needs a Mace Windu like rework with like 3 Zetas. I originally would have said Dooku. However, Trench kind of took care of that, and I remember I mentioned that in an earlier pod.
Yeah.
For me, it is Cad Bane, it is Commander Cody, and it's Lando. Those are my 3 that I think they need a rework. I don't think that a marquee character can fix them. I'm looking at Jawas. I think they could release in honor of Mando season 3. They could release Peli from Mando, give her Jawa synergy, and boom, that's a team right there. There's a lot of these characters are Ewoks. We are one more. I think you can throw a marquee character into that team, and that team is doing really, really well.
Yeah. Or you could give them another Omicron.
Yes.
There's only one squad in the game. There's that Rebel team with Akbar and Leia that has 2 Omicrons. I don't know why you can't give Logray another Omicron, or give Wicked an Omicron. 2 Grand Arena Omicrons for Ewok. I mean, they could do something like that, and that's an easy fix to a team.
But for me, these are 3 characters that we have had to relic up, and they have next to no use. At least Cad Bane has a ship, and but Lando's just not good. Cody's just not good. And there's not even a team where you can throw them in where they're even ideal or they work. Lando just doesn't really work with Sana, even though they kind of wanted him to. Cody just doesn't work with any of the clone teams. And Cad Bane is just, he doesn't even really work in a Hutt Cartel team. For me, those are my 3. What about you? Do you have any other 3 that, or do you have any other characters that you think need a rework?
I'm looking through, and you may not really agree with this one, but I think HK might need a bit of a rework.
I agree. HK
August has gotten into the game. You still need HK to unlock Darth Revan, and I could see HK being a early game kind of tune where he's there with Darth Revan, and that's his placeholder, but then you get Malik, and then Malik replaces HK.
I
And then
would
once
love if HK got like a
droid
Savage like
center,
a
he
Savage like
needs
Omicron.
not even that. Like, I just want him to synergize with droids. Like, his unique is if HK's leader is Darth Revan, HK-47 has the following, and it's a bunch of stuff. If his loyalty to the Maker unique is useless without Darth Revan in the lead. His self reconstruction has when HK uses an ability during his turn, it deals 25% more damage if the target has Death Mark or Fear. Direct Darth Revan synergy, pretty much useless. All he can do in a droid team is when a buff expires on an enemy, HK recovers 5% health and 5% protection. That's all he does in a droid team. He recovers health, and then that's it. I mean,
I would love if he got an Omicron where it was like if he's in an all droid team,
yes.
the loyalty to the Maker no longer requires Darth Revan and it's activated. And like
Or you change loyalty to the Maker as if HK's leader is Darth Revan or a droid. Rework, fixed, he's now decent again. Like, you don't even really need an Omicron for that. You just need to add a word. You just need to add droid.
Yeah.
Droid.
Or in a like a Darth Revan or in an all droid team. Yeah, I'd love that because I love it. I love HK. It pains me for him to not like be doing well
because he has also like in his kit he has a lot of like anti-Jedi synergy, and so like it would be nice for Shorty to get something that has a little bit of viability there. Like I mean, I don't really see her taking out JML or JMK or anything like that, but like I mean, I feel like this would help against like maybe a Mon Mothma team where there's a Kal Katarn there and you got to try to take him out, or a Qui-Gon Jinn Ami, like something.
real quick. I wanted to touch on Hazel. I see your comment there. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, Darth Revan made HK. He should have direct synergy. However, we're not advocating to take away this synergy. We're asking for additional synergy because the problem is that like as I'm sure you've noticed, as soon as you get Malik, as soon as you get Malgus, HK's just dropped. Like he just doesn't. He's not used anymore, and
he just sits in your roster.
He just sits in your roster, and it sucks because like he has a good kit, and he's like there's nothing bad about it. But the problem is he is just so tied to Darth Revan. Whereas like we're just saying like, hey, like could we give him just a little bit more synergy so he could be used? But yeah, no, I agree with HK.
Yeah. I have one more, but I lost him, and it was kind of a niche one that not really too important, I would say, but Cup. Can we please give Cup some kind of actual Galactic Republic synergy? I say it all the time because he's a Galactic Republic, but has no Galactic Republic like nothing in his kit calls to Galactic Republic. Like, I mean, it would be nice to, have him pair with Padme or something like that. Because he's another one of those that just has no use in the game whatsoever. Zero use. Like, there's no, like, other than memes, there's no reason to gear this guy.
Facts.
So, those would be my two. Like, he needs a mace level rework, but he will never, like, that will never happen.
No.
Yeah, no. What's next? I know we have a couple of fun ones in here where they're not really swag questions. So
let's do the you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
One horse-sized duck.
Yo,
give me that horse-sized duck. I'll take it.
Give me those 100 duck-sized horses.
Okay, think about it. You're fighting a horse the size of a duck. A duck isn't that, but a duck's like what, an inch and a half?
Nah, they're a little bigger than that.
I'm not an inch. I mean a foot. A foot.
Oh, foot. Yeah, foot and a half.
Yeah. So they're about a foot and a half. Think about a foot and a half, just like roundhouse kicking you in your Achilles. Like 100 of those, like if you get surrounded, it is just like kicking you in the legs, and at some point they'll break. But
In-
with the one horse-sized duck, yeah, he's gonna be big, but like I just have to avoid his beak. Doesn't have any arms. He's not gonna flip me with his tail. He's just got his beak. So all I got to do is avoid one humongous beak. I don't know. I like my chances with the one horse-sized duck.
it's a good question.
Yeah.
Let's jump to which question do you want to hit next?
Let me go. Let's get the non-swug ones out the way.
Yeah.
And then I think we can go back to. I'll go to Lorian's. If your uncle, the creepy weird one, dies and leaves you a $500 swag gift card, how are you spending?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think first. I'm going to spend $400 on crystals. All right.
Hmm.
Actually, no. I'm spending $380 on crystals.
Okay.
Let's leave it at that. And then I'm saving the last 120, and I'm buying that conquest pass every time for the entire a year's worth of the conquest pass.
Oh, years worth of conquest pass. That's not bad. Okay.
Yeah, I think what? How many? I'm gonna do the math on that. How much 380 crystals is? $380 worth of crystals is in game. I'm curious now.
I think I'm actually going to do the same as you there. That's really good. I like that. A year's worth of the conquest pass and then just crystals, because if I'm being honest, everything else in the game just isn't worth it. And even if I were to solely save those crystals for buying the relic amplifier packs of like the circuit boards and the bronzium wiring packs, like
Yeah, you would make your money off of that crystal wise, because whenever those come out once a month, those are money.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go with you there.
So let's I'm about to figure out what is 303 370. Pull out a calculator here real quick. Didn't think we'd be doing math on the podcast, but here we are. All right. So the $100 boxes are 15,700 crystals times 3. And then now we do some adding. 40. That is 58,640 crystals is $380.
That sounds like a good time right there.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time. That is a lifetime supply worth of circuit boards. I could just imagine spending that much on just the circuit boards. that would be my yeah. I guess we only have one other non-swag related question. Oh, we had two. One was a Star Wars one. What's your favorite hobby? And then, do you have a favorite all-time Star Wars character? If so, and why?
Ooh, that's
so. Let's just do the Star Wars character first. Obviously, I'm a big Obi-Wan fan, but let's be honest, like that's a very basic answer. I think everyone loves Obi-Wan, so I can't really, say that one. Huh.
Man, I am having a. There's like you said, there's a lot of really good characters.
I might get a lot of hate for this one. Jar Jar Binks. He is like in my top 5 favorites. I know they made him super annoying, but I don't know. I thought he was a very fun character. Just because you have this show, like you have this movie that's like so serious, and then he's like this. The whole purpose of his character is like comedic relief. I don't know. I thought that's kind of nice for me.
Yo, I'm here for it. Yo, Jar Jar coming to the game when?
He's our next conquest character.
Honestly, I'd be down. I'd be so down if
I'd-
Jar Jar was our next conquest character.
What would they give him? Would it like Galactic Republic?
Galactic Republican, I think he would just be like Hondo-esque kind of kid.
Yes. They could probably give him like Scoundrel.
I am
I don't know, like
hear me out here. I am here for a 2 Zeta Jar Jar Marquis. They instantly give him that level 9 Datacron, and homie is beating every Galactic Legend with it. And I am here for the chaos that ensues with it.
I would love one where you get Jar Jar, and there's an Omnicron that in Grand Arena he turns into like a Sith Lord with a little red lightsaber, and he just solos. His special ability is kicking the blue ball.
This is imagine the polygons on this.
Honestly, Jar Jar's special ability could be, like he doesn't fit into any other teams because his unique would be something like Jar Jar spawns an army of Gungans, and so your other 4 tunes is just like random Gungans. That'd be so cool. I would love something like that where he is like a one-man team. He he spawns it like that. Honestly, that'd be kind of a cool little. That'd be interesting because he would have 4 spawns, and so essentially all you have to do is kill Jar Jar and the battle ends. Huh. And then Relius said the Gungan Omnis would make the Gungan minions work different in different modes. Oh, I would be all for that. Huh. I am. Honestly, that should be our pitch to CG. Yeah, give us Jar Jar, but he's a one-man army.
If I had to think, I'm not gonna lie. I've been reading a lot recently. I read a lot of Star Wars books. I'm trying to get caught up and have a growing collection. I think where you said like Obi-Wan is your obvious. I think Thrawn is probably my obvious, but I'm gonna dig a little deeper. Dooku was an interesting character. I really liked Dooku's books as well. But for me, it is Captain Phasma. For any of you,
Yeah.
if you have read the Phasma novel, Phasma is such an interesting and mysterious character, and she kind of gets the shaft in the movies, but like she is so cool with like she's this like ultimate warrior, and she will just like sell anybody out because like at her core she's a survivor, and just to like watch how quickly she goes and like is with one group and is like fighting for someone and then killing them and like leaving them for dead the next was just like her book was such an interesting read. And like the interactions between like her and Captain Cardinal were really really cool. So oh, Phasma's way cooler than the Armor. Armor, she ain't got shit on Phasma. Phasma's kicking her ass. But I'd say probably Phasma. No, it's not the same person. Not. I wouldn't say they're the same person. I don't think their character arcs are the same. Armor is just a cult leader. That's all she is.
I do love that Phasma is played by Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, you know Gwendolyn Christie. I love.
Thrones.
God, I love Gwendolyn Christie so much.
Really, really good actor.
All right, let's jump back to some Swuggo questions here.
Yeah. Where are we at? Let me figure out where we're at. Okay. From Grogu, when you started playing Swug, which farming route did you take? If you could go back and change anything, would you? I went kind of a weird route.
Yeah, I did
started
too.
playing the game, and I just started collecting stuff. I was like, oh, I just want to collect all the characters. And then I realized, hey, that's not a good idea. So then I farmed, Phoenix and the Thrawn and Pow, got all them. And then after I got them, I took like a long break from the game, like maybe a year. I got back into it, and the first team I farmed after I got back was Night Sisters. they were like my first, like, when I got back into the game, relics were out. Like, relics had just freshly came out. And so I went, I'm going to bring Asajj to Relic 3. I brought all of them to Gear 12 minus Spirit. And I rocked with them, went from Padme to then Gas, and then I just, like, leveled out stuff. And so I would not follow what I did. I am not a very typical farming route. If I could go back, I would not farm Mech Sisters. Even though they have an Omicron now, and I love them, they're like, I really wish I could have like a meta team, like oh shucks, I really wish I could have First Order up and running, or I could have JTR, or I wish I could have some more Scoundrels, or stuff like that. I wouldn't have farmed Night Sisters. That would, yeah. All right. What about you, MDA?
I had a weird farming route. I came in and I'm a completionist at heart, so like I was like, oh, if I'm starting working on a team, let me just go max them all away and then I'll work on the next team. So like I started with Phoenix and I took all of my Phoenix to Gear 12 and like gave them all their Zetas.
Nice.
And now I had other characters and teams with Zetas, but like Phoenix was Gear 12, and then I realized shit like Phoenix they're not all that. So I had like CLS, I had like all the stuff that you get, some of the early game stuff. I went the Revan route, so like I went and got Jedi Revan, Darth Revan, and Malak. So I got all that. And then I started playing the game like when the Hyperdrive bundle was out, and when like Gas was meta, but like Jedi Revan, Darth Revan were still like super meta. And Rey and Kylo had just come out, or like they were in the process of coming out. So my first Galactic Legend was JML. That was the first one that I farmed, and I got him and did that. And so like I had a really like wide and a bit more balanced roster because like I had all the Old Republic stuff. I had CLS. I had like some of the other dark side like teams. But I missed out on some of the like I don't have a Night Sister team up and running because I didn't really get some of those, so I missed out on some of that. If I were to do it all over again, I think I would set a path for by like 2 million GP or like 2.5 mil GP. I would want either Rey or Kylo to be my first GL, and I would get one of those teams, like whatever faction I choose, to do that and to like build other teams that kind of go in the same vein with that. But I think I would start my account if I were to do it differently or start a new account. I would do a First Order or Resistance themed account to start. I'm a big fan of not chasing the current meta, chase the old metas because they're the easiest to acquire because CG wants to move on to the next, and so they make the previous really easy to get. And I'm a big fan of just like catching up as quickly as you can and getting all those different things and like chasing the old metas and not going for what's new because I find like it takes too long starting and going for the most like the new metas.
Yeah, I will say that too. I think especially with like teams like Imp Troopers, a lot of these teams that the core was like the like most of the tunes were originally in the game a very long time ago, like pre 2018, pre 2020, I guess, and then 2021, 2022, they got like a lifter, like a marquee lifter. And so the majority of like I would still say like M Troopers are probably one of the best teams you can farm early on. CLS is probably one of the best teams you can farm early on. Even though like what's his name? Chupio is gonna have a lot of, pyros just to gear him to get him to gear 12. I still think that's better than, going for GL sub 2 mil. So, next question. What is the most undervalued character / ship in Swogue? Someone that people underlook, but you think rocks. I said his name already. Plo Koon. I know he's hot ass, but I mean, just let me hang on. Let me pull up his kit. Even though I should know it by memory by now because I keep
We
defending this
got
guy.
actually I got his kit right here. I was like, I'm like scrolling through the characters and I'm at the P's right now, so I got you. We got buff dispel on the basic, and
Yeah, that's
if he
awesome.
dispels a buff, he gets defense up.
Defense up. Who doesn't love defense up?
He
On a
has
tank.
a AOE with a 70% chance to inflict offense down.
Who doesn't love lowering somebody's offense? 70% chance to AOE, just put everyone's offense down. That's pretty sick.
And
I don't
then
know.
a 4-turn cooldown special. All allies
Oof.
gain defense up. Clone and Jedi gain 50% turn meter. Other allies gain half. Boom. We got a plug and play character right here.
That's what I'm saying. You know, expect. I love running with that Qui-Gon Jinn team
What
because
more do you need in a character?
that's what I'm saying. Like he dispels on the basic. He needs a unique. That's really what he needs. He doesn't have a unique. He has a leader, and his leader is like stealing stealth. Like that's his whole mechanic of his leader is like stealing stealth from. I think he was meant to counter like Maul back in the day, like Darth Maul, and it is a hot guard. It might be the worst leadership in the game. I would have to say because it's like what does it read like a 40% chance
A
to
55% chance to spell stealth.
yeah, not even a full 100% chance. Yeah, it's a Tebow counter too. Yeah, that's. I think that's what it was meant to do. Was where instead of dispelling, he steals the buffs. He dispels. I could like that. I could get down with that. But I love running him with that Qui-Gon Jinn Omni, just because you know you can if you time it if it gets timed right and they kill Qui-Gon and then Anakin takes a couple turns and then he's just going to give his AoE 50% turn meter to everybody, and then you're going to have to go through the ringer again, especially if Cam and Anakin are still alive. So that's kind of why where I like running. But he is. I will be honest, he is hot garbage. But I will defend him that he is a relevant tune. And then you know what? I think I'm gonna guess who you're gonna say.
Go right ahead. What do you think it is?
Cad Bane.
It's close. I do love me some Cad Bane. No, it is it's Boba Fett Django. He was the first conquest character that I got to. That was the first conquest that I could red crate every single one. And so I unlocked him day one. I gave him all 3 Omicrons. I took him up to relics. I had Fennec up and farmed and ready. And he is like easily my favorite character to play with. He is such a fun character. Like when you know how his momentum mechanics work, and especially at higher relics, he does some hot damage where like when you just one tap someone on a basic, it's fun using him and Fennec together. Been using him to counter Sith Eternal, Jabba, and Lord Vader. Jabba's still kind of a work in progress. I wouldn't call it like a go-to counter, but it's happened before. But he's a fun character. I didn't love, but I liked the Book of Boba Fett show. For me, it was just a fun show. I remember I watched it. It was the first show that I watched live with my in-laws, and like they were a big fan of it. They liked the kind of like the spaghetti western style of the show, and
Yeah.
it was just fun. It's a character that I really like, and I'm glad that like now that like he gets love with Tuskens, he goes with Mando, he has his own lead in TW. Yeah, no, I love me some Django.
All right. Is the next one the speed question?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah. Which characters have the most important need for speed? That list is too long to. If we went through every single character, then
I
I
can't.
would say
Yeah,
like
I think if you're to simplify it to like characters that don't have turn meter mechanics or characters
yeah,
that don't have recovery mechanics.
yes,
So like you need to be able to go fast. If like generally the rule of thumb is if you are under geared or under relicked, you're going to want to go first so that you don't have to recover. However, there's some teams like Zori, they have the recovery mechanics, or like Jedi Knight Revan, or things they have the savior mechanics. When you have those recovery mechanics, you can get away with that. Or teams with high turn meter where they don't need the speed because they just need to get going. If you don't have any of those three, then I would say you're going to want to put speed. However, at the end of the day, like everything needs speed, so it's tough to
yeah.
give you characters individually.
The couple that come to my mind is Rex, and also some of these characters that I call them like uh I just call them like engine igniters. They're the key to the team. That's it's like it's what gets everything going. Like Moff Gideon. I think of Moff Gideon as like
He's the person that he's going to go first. He's going to remove everyone else's turn meter, and then he's going to get all the other imp troopers moving and moving turn meter. I think of Rex. Like Rex is one of those where like Rex goes first, he gives turn meter to everybody, and then you just start getting the team going. It's like that's another like thing that I think of like people who need speed. That's just how I look at it.
No, I would agree with you there. I'm going to be honest, everyone here. I got a little bit of time left. I think I got about 2 questions left in me, and then I got to go make some dinner before it's too late. I know my wife has been playing some Hogwarts Legacy while I'm doing the pod, but I got to make some dinner, and we've been going on for about I think about
Hour and a
almost
half now.
almost an hour and a half. So um I liked Grogu's 2 questions here: the main purpose for a podcast, and then the power to change something. Do you want to do those two, or is there any other ones that you want to do?
Let's let's get let's try to knock out some of Relius's like questions, like just like get them quick,
Okay.
and then I think we can get some of these next time. I'll just need to. I know we're at okay. I know we're at blower. I'll just start pinging and saying what we need to get left. I think the main purpose. We'll do the main purpose for starting the podcast. Honestly, it was just me and MDA, and this was back when we only had 3 guilds. And somebody, MDA and I were like, oh, it'd be kind of cool if someone did a podcast where we could keep up with guild events, like what's going on in the alliance, and then we can keep up with like news, and early on, if you notice, like a lot of the videos early on is us with like a guild leader or us with a guild officer, or we always had like a guest from the alliance, but we had to stop doing that because sometimes it was hard to plan it, and so usually it just turned into me and MDA just, hey, you want to do a pod on Sunday? And he was like, yeah, sure, I can do a pod that time. And so it was more or less for us to like keep people in the alliance like knowing what's. Oh,
I think I'm starting to lose your rock. Oh, there you go.
am I back? I don't know what I last said, but I was pretty much it was just a place for us as an alliance to, just get some information out, see what everyone's doing, and I guess just a place for us to talk for the most part. You could pick 3 people from the smoke community to invite. Who would they be? One would be from this alliance. I would say the 2 people I would love to have is Lorian or Krax. I would love for Krax to come out of retirement and do a pod with us.
I'd love for Cracks to come on and do that. Yeah.
Oh God, he's from Tennessee, so he has a thick Southern accent, and he is a character.
I mean, I would say he is the true barbarian
Yes,
of like what
he
inspired
is.
all the barbarians. Like I would say he is like our mascot.
yes, if you want to know what the Barb way is, I would send that guy a DM.
We had Lorian on one pod
Did
way back when, like
I think he was like
episode
the third. I think he was like
3
the
or
third or
4 or
fourth.
something like that. I was gonna say that one actually for all of our guests that we had on, Lorian was probably one of like the ones that went the smoothest and like that went pretty well because like you and I were also still
Oh,
kind
we
of
had
getting
no idea.
used to like we had no idea what we were doing. We were talking over each other. I mean, we still do talk over each other, but like
Yeah, it's
um we're still figuring all this out and like but it was fun. Like we all kind of just vibed the whole time.
uh and if we could get like one like celebrity, I don't know, celebrity wise, I would love to get one of the H&N guys or one of the Holotable News Network people on here. That would be awesome. They would they
I've
wouldn't take they wouldn't take the time, but like I would love it. Uh,
I totally just unplugged my headset.
I was I was a little confused there. I was about to have to start.
No, so I have no idea what you just said, but I agree with you.
I didn't
I
I didn't say
love
anything because I thought my internet went out again.
um, Celiac Sarah is great as always. I'd love for her to like if we could have her on. One, I think he's a retired Swugga player. End all be all. I always liked watching his stuff, and he's really funny. Um,
One
obviously
guy.
we all know Glurmit. Glurmit is one of my friends outside
He
Swugga.
was on
So
the pod
like,
at one point.
yeah, we had him on. You know what? Just for the memes, we got to bring Hendo back.
Oh my god, Hendo. Oh my god. I forgot about that guy.
He still holds Discord records in
He
engagement
is
in
like,
here,
I think he's like top 4 in the Discord for
and he
like
he
chatting.
he hasn't been here for like 2 years, and he's
He
still top
was,
4.
what's even crazy is he was in the Alliance for like 6 months, and he holds the record for like the third most chattiest person here. He talked to everybody. You send a message in Discord, he was responding to you. It was one of my like. Oh, that's a good one. Uh, I think one YouTuber I would like to see. It's a guy named Z Gaming.
Okay,
I used to Zarios is I guess his Discord handle or whatever, but
he did a bunch of
he does
Night
a lot of
Sister content. I remember.
he figured out that you could counter C with Night Sisters, but then C got reworked and you couldn't do it anymore. So like, but he stopped recording for like a good year and a half. But he posted a video yesterday, so good to see he's still posting stuff. But I would love to have him on. He's kind of a smaller guy, but not too small. He's a decent. I think he's got like close to 2,000
Yeah,
subs. That's pretty big for the SWO community. Um, do we have any time for any other ones, or are
I think I could hit one more here.
let's do
I think I like this one here. Let's say you have the power to change one thing that Swugga has done over its history. If you had a time machine that you could take back, which one change would you remove? I have one exactly in my head that I know. Um, it was when they buffed GMK.
yep.
When they didn't allow Sith Eternal to counter JMK. I thought that was stupid when they did it, and it has continued to be stupid with how they did it. It made JMK just that much better, which he didn't need to be, and all because they were upset that. And it wasn't even like that consistent. Like I mean, it was a stupid counter, but it wasn't anything that consistent that was really worth doing. Like, you were still using a Galactic Legends, and um, it was kind of C's purpose. C's used to counter Jedi, and that was one of those things that I don't think that was good for the game. And it's one of those decisions. Like, I can look back on the rest of their decisions and I can justify them. I know everyone's going to talk about the nerf for 2021. I'm going to be honest, guys. That was
That was good for the.
that was really necessary. Um, I'm sorry if you can't understand that, but like that was so critical to the health of the game. That needed to happen.
Like, there is no reason for like Watt, like during that time frame, you were able to take 4 tunes and Watt and counter everything. Like, if you look at Clash, he still posts stuff from time to time, but he had a video where he was using Stormtrooper, Han lead, Han, Chewie, Watt, and Kira to counter gas. Like, that was a gas counter. Like, there's no reason that team should be able to counter gas. And that was back when gas was the meta.
Ignoring defense was one of the worst things that they had still in the game. It really can only be used in small doses. And the fact that like Jedi Knight Luke, Darth Vader with the weapons tech, or like all these things, it just like it makes when like, and again, people are arguing like, oh, why can't you make good content, CG, or why can't you do this? It's things like that were preventing it. And the reason that a lot of these things have gone so smoothly or have felt balanced, so to say, in these past couple of years is because of that change.
Because there's no like it's like, what's the point of introducing something new in the game when it's not going to beat Darth Vader with Watt, it's not going to beat Jedi Luke, it's not going to beat Gas. It will never be at that tier unless you make it like a Galactic Legend. And so like,
and even still, if it was a Galactic Legend, it would just get beaten by Darth Vader anyways, because you could use your Relic 5 Darth Vader and Watt, and you could win. And yeah.
I think my time machine would be they go back and they do something better for Cam. I think for a mission of that caliber, where I mean, obviously for even like the Watt mission I remodded, but for like the amount of time and effort that a guild had to put into getting Cam
was absurd.
It was absurd. Like, just to put it in perspective, I still do from time to time, but like I used to stream for the alliances, and when it was Cam day on phase 3, I always tried to dedicate like 6 to 8 hours to just streaming with people, and I would stream for 6 to 8 hours, and I would stream with about 20 to 30 people. And there's no reason that a guild or an alliance should have to do that, and you get a character that is at best B tier, A tier, I guess. I think their problem with him was they envisioned a character that was going to take all these crappy Galactic Republic and he was going to make them good. Well, he didn't.
The problem is that like it took him so long for us to unlock him that once he came out, and again, like the meta caught up, and he did some funny stuff in a JMK team, and he did some funny stuff with like in TB, but like he just
he's not that important. I would I would say like out of all the TB tunes, I would say he's on the bottom in terms of usefulness. I mean, I would even say Rolo has a better use than he does.
IPD exists. That's good.
I don't know. I mean, IPD has a territory battle Omicron that's actually kind of decent. So I don't know. I mean,
no, I'm with you there. I think Cam was a mistake with how they made the Cam mission. That was a mistake.
Now, if the Cam mission was easy, where all you needed was R5 and then you beat the mission, you don't need this art. Like the thing about the cam mission that always infuriated me is you could have the best mods possible, and you go in turn one, you get AoE'd by everything, and then Django rockets shot T and dies turn one, and that's it. That's the mission. You can't win from there. You just instantly lose. You've just instantly lost turn one. So they made it so RNG heavy that sometimes you just lose. Sorry, I know you put on all this time and effort farming the mods for this mission and putting all the relics into people, but oh, sorry, Django rocket to the face, you lose. So that was my one gripe. If you could go back in time, I would yell at CG, hey, either make Cam a little bit better than he is now, or B, make the mission easier.
I gotta agree with that.
Because like I remember it took, I mean, with Reba, it took us 4 or 5 months to finally unlock her. When did we start?
We started in
Mid-December.
January, I thought, like, because again, I didn't have Grand Inquisitor until like after Christmas, so realistically, we didn't start it until like January.
But July, some people had him. And I think the first TB was mid-December, right?
Yes, mid-December.
So,
yeah.
yeah. So
It's
you
roughly
had
like
one.
yeah, roughly four. Because again, let's just say you go best case scenario, you go 50 for 50. You run that twice a month. That's
3.5 months.
3.5 months. Let's just round it up to 4 to 5 months. You can get that character.
But with Cam, it was once a month, and then 50 was not guaranteed.
You were like, I would say if anything north of 35 was really good.
Yeah. Like, anything north of 30 was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that was an event that literally it literally takes a year to unlock. I would say it takes a year. So, yeah.
Well, I think the last question that remains though is, what are you farming right now?
So I finished up. Also, Aurelius and the other people who asked some questions, we'll get them next podcast. I'm gonna mark down what we didn't get to, and I'll get them next podcast. But I just finished up C. I unlocked him last night at like 10:30. He's currently Relic 3. And my next farm is Inquisitors. I'm just gonna get the 5 Inquisitors, and I don't think I'll have them in time for the next event drop, which
It might be this week. It might be coming this week.
I think they're either going to drop it this week, or they're going to wait until like mid-April.
Okay.
I could see them being like, they're either gonna say, oh, we're gonna drop it beginning of April or the end of April. That's where I see it. And then it'll last for 7 days. So I don't think I'll be ready by that time, but I'll get pretty darn close. And then after that, I don't know what I'm gonna be doing after that. I'll figure something out. Oh, I always kind of do. What you been up to? Because I know you are a smart guy. You got Inquisitors done early, so you can farm whatever you want.
I did, yes. God, I love the Inquisitors so much. They're such a good team. You and I both were started ticket farming on relatively the same time. You're for C, I'm for Ray. My reset is today, and I actually farmed all the tickets that I needed to do the last battle while we were doing the pod here. So I'm gonna go probably eat dinner, and then I'm gonna go unlock Ray. And I think I have all of her gear ready. If not, I can farm it or I'll buy it with crystals or whatever. So she'll go to relic something. I've got 3 of her Zetas. So I've got her. I have Ben all ready to go. I am actually going to be farming the Old Republic team because I want Mission and Zalbar to run on my raid team. And I also want to have Old Republic ready for when the new raid comes. So I am going to be farming them, and then I'm also just going to bring the rest of the Old Republic up. Karth is going to get his Omicron. That is just, I love the Old Republic. KOTOR is one of my favorites, and I also am a big fan of that Omicron, so I'm going to give it to Karth. That'll be my third TB Omicron. Finn and Rolo both have one, so Karth is going to be my go-to mixed TB team. After that, my next big project is the Profundity. So my goal is to have Profundity by like June or like I think like June or July, um, and then Jabba after that. So that is what I'm farming. That's what I'm doing.
Nice. I guess if you don't have anything else, I'll let you go ahead and lead, and you can,
Yeah, no, this was a good pod. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. For those who want to go back and listen, this is being streamed live on my YouTube at The Optimist. So it will be up there, and you can go through and scrub through and listen to what you want to listen. So I guess, yeah, until next time, I will catch you guys later.
All right.